Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm going to start welcoming everyone in from the waiting room. Hello, hello. Awesome. Looks like we're getting we have a big group tonight. So, introducing myself, my name is Ashley Hogue. I am the outreach director with the Hawaii Farmers Union. It is so great to see so many farmers and ag supporters from across Hawaii coming together for this conversation tonight. For those of you who may be new, the Hawaii Farmers Union is a chapter of the National Farmers Union, which is the oldest agriculture advocacy group in America back to 1902, which supports farmers across the state through advocacy, which means we're fighting at the county, local, state, and national level for our small family farmers with changing laws, providing educational resources and connection through cooperation. So tonight's webinar is part of our Transition to Organic Partnership Program, which helps Hawaii producers navigate organic certification, strengthen their systems, and connect with technical assistance and resources like you're going to experience tonight. So before we get started, we'd love to learn just a little bit more about who's in the room tonight. So we're going to run a few quick polls while we let everybody join us in here. This just helps us tailor the conversation to who's here. So let me pull that up for us. Do the first little poll. Okay, so our first little poll is just asking if you are a farmers union, yes or no, real easy. So we'll see a couple of you fill that out. Still welcoming a couple more to the room. Awesome. Got a nice split mix here tonight. Half and half. Great. Perfect. We'll do one more poll. This one's just going to ask where you guys are all joining in from tonight, where we can see we have members that span from Kauai all the way down to Big Island. We have 16 chapters on every single island. So would love to hear just where you guys are all tuning in from throughout Hawaii. Fun. And while everyone's answering that, in honor of tonight being our highest attended webinar of the year, over 125 of you registered to join tonight. It is our largest registration of the year for this session that we're doing. We're going to do a special giveaway for HFU members. So to enter, all you need to do is email us at hfuu@hfuu.org and let us know a topic that you'd like to cover in future educational webinars, as we're going to continue this series into 2026. And if you're not a member, you can still join tonight by going to hfuu.org. Once you're registered, send us an email, again, at that same email, at hfuu@hfuu.org to be entered as well. We'll be pulling the winner tomorrow for a super sought-after vintage HFU giveaway. A lot of people ask us about our old school t-shirts from our convention, and I found some in our inventory. So it's going to be a t-shirt and a hat giveaway. So if you want to enter, really easy, just be a member, email us, or enter tonight. Register to be a member, and then you can enter. So a quick note before we move on, this webinar is being recorded. We will be leaving time for Q&A at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat as they come up, and then we'll come back to them at the very end. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Organic Technical Assistant Specialist, Maile Woodhall, who's been helping Hawaii farmers strengthen their certification systems and connect with resources through the Transition to Organic Partnership Program. So Maile, I will pass it over to you, my dear.
Great. Thanks so much, Ashley. I was trying to share my screen here.
Let me see if I can help you with that on my end. Just one second. Not sharing. Wonder if it's because of this poll. Let's see. Make that go away. There's still a lot of people joining us too.
Okay, yeah, no biggie. We can share those after. I just had some flyers to pull up. But yeah, aloha, friends and farmers. I'm Miley Woodhall, the Organic Technical Assistant Specialist with the Hawaii Farmers Union. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with us tonight. So as Ashley shared, this program is part of the USDA Transitioning to Organic Partnership Program, also referred to as TOPS. So we're really here to help provide technical support for farmers and producers, and you guessed it, all things organic. But we also can assist with a wide range of different technical support, including certification, business development, grants, loans, real estate, and so much more. So just kind of think of us as your go-to support partner to help you with pathway programs and resources. So in addition to our top technical support, we also have our mentorship program where we pair you with an expert organic mentor and we provide you with a $500 stipend. The main requirement is primarily that you're looking to adopt organic practices or want to become certified organic. So if you're interested in any of these programs, feel free to reach out and I'll be sure to drop my contact information in the chat so you can reach out to me directly or to HFU for more support. All right, so before we jump into the good stuff, we're just going to pull up another quick poll. And don't worry, you guys, you didn't accidentally sign up for a surprise exam. We're kind of here just to test your knowledge. So these are all true or false. And the first one is KNF or Korean natural farming inputs, can it be used in organic production? True or false? And for the most part, it looks like it's all correct, which is true. And I'm going to have you just continue to roll through these, Ashley, and I'll kind of give a recap at the end. So we'll go ahead and jump into question number 2.
Can you see number 2 or not yet?
Yes, it just
Okay,
came
great.
up. So for Korean natural inputs, can it be used in organic production? And we did just have that one. So I'm sorry, it doesn't look like it went to the second one for me.
Stop sharing. There we go. Okay.
All right, great. So true or false, you must tell your certifier before using KNF practices. True or false? Oh, wow. Yep. A mixed opinion here. Looks like mostly false. Is about split here. So the answer is true. For all my certified organic operations out there, it is really important that we're letting our certifier know about their practices used. And our last poll question here, true or false? You must keep records for Korean natural farming inputs for organic certification. All right. And it looks like mostly everyone is guessing true, which I feel good. I've trained you all well. Okay, we can go ahead and end the poll now. So yeah, just as a kind of quick overview in regards to organic certification and using homemade inputs or Korean natural farming inputs, it is important that you are using certified organic ingredients. So in this case, like the rice and the sugar would have to be from an organic source. You would also need to let your certifier know that those are your practices, and you would identify that on your organic system plan. You could also have an internal procedure for or an SOP that kind of outlines what it is that you're doing to make those inputs. And then, of course, you want to keep your records. So that would entail keeping your purchase receipts for the inputs, as well as when you're making your batches and then when you're applying those to your fields. And through the TOPP program, we do have some wonderful resources and record keeping templates that we can always share with you if you're interested in that. All right, great. Well, thanks for participating in that poll. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Ashley did kind of go over general housekeeping, but just kind of as a reminder, Drake, you're going to have about 30 minutes to present. And as you're presenting, I just want to encourage all of you guys to participate by asking questions in the chat. And at the end, we'll go through the Q&A session. And then, yeah, I'm happy to answer any additional questions in regards to TOPP or certification. And then, of course, Drake will be guiding those Q&A for KNF. So without further ado, we are so pleased to have Drake here tonight. He's going to take a dive into practices for Korean natural farming methods that can easily be applied to your farm to help to build a healthier and more resilient soil system. So Drake, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hey, aloha everyone. I guess you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Okay, good, good. Hey, so th thanks for having me this evening, and thanks for including Korean natural farming as part of the learning, about organic and expanding organic program with Korean natural farming because my feelings is it fits right in. As you said, if you're using organic sugar and you're using from proper sources, um, Korean natural farming is kind of based around edible inputs. And if you can eat something, usually it's organic. Not always. I don't know. Is there anything out there that you can eat that's not organic? I don't know. You probably shouldn't be eating it if you are. Um, but the natural farming that I do specifically is from Master Cho. And so I think I can share my screen here. See if I can share this. Are you seeing that book?
Yeah, it looks so great.
Okay, so this is a recipe book that I wrote, and the idea is to give people tools to go about and do farming. Like even if you're in an organic type of system, it may not be abundantly obvious to you when to apply what solutions when. And so what I've tried to do is to break down Korean natural farming in a way where a lot of these already have well-known analogs for the solutions. Like for instance, we use a fish amino acid in Korean natural farming, and I'm pretty sure there's dozens of organic approved already certified stamp bottles using like fish aminos and things like that. So it's not like Korean natural farming is way out there. It's like a lot of these things are actually used across already in organic practices. Right, composting, we're doing certain different things with different solutions. So the way I want to kind of present it to you is that Korean natural farming gives you 9 tools, such as like a carpenter has a hammer and a saw and a tape measure, and all of those have different functions. Korean natural farming presents nine solutions that you can use and create on your farm that give you the tools to build fertility. And a lot of that starts with at the root level, at the soil level, building the microbiome beneath. So if you see this picture here, this is, the picture of the classic ahu pua'a, right? The rain coming up the mount, collecting in the mountain, flowing down the stream, going into the water, going through your agricultural, back into your water and into your ocean. And so if you are practicing agriculture, this water that's running through your agricultural practices should be coming out cleaner and better and more fertile for the fish below, for the whole ecosystem that's relying on all this water. And that is to me that's the kind of make it or break it of your practices, because sometimes even organic solutions you can over apply them and get them into your waterway, and it can cause pollution basically. And so having regenerate, so using our organic methods to mean regenerative, edible, life-bearing, giving, like that's I think that's kind of the spirit of the organic, is to have this regenerative like yeah, like the life. Like why wouldn't you just be spraying poison everywhere? It's because you care, right? And Korean natural farming is right in that wheelhouse of that caring for the earth and making the water cleaner as it goes through your property. And the solutions they're spraying are edible. And actually, I was just this morning or 2 days ago, someone called me. They had um, a plant that they were recommended to put a systemic insect killing poison on to kill a fungus that was there. And they called me and they're like, I don't want to do this because I know it's going to kill the bees. I know it's going to kill everything else. And so they called me and they were like, so what I recommended to them instead was through these solutions here was that I made a mix for them with protectors. So these are lactic acid bacteria made from milk. So I gave them this. I gave them food for their plant because it was being weak and eaten by this fungus. I needed to give it a little bit of, good, hearty, nutrient-based food. So this food was from banana. I gave them some cleanser that was from vinegar made from papayas and some medicine, which is garlic, ginger, licorice, cinnamon, and angelica, all tinctured together, and also some structure to help kind of rebuild and give this plant the ability because the leaves were getting shriveled and eaten up. It would give it the ability to rebuild its structure and rebuild itself. So those of the 9 tools that I'm talking about for a plant that was being eaten and just like shriveled up and eaten away, I prescribed just a simple mix of protectors plus food, cleanser, medicine, and structure. And without even knowing much of Korean natural farming, because I can't really see you, it's through a Zoom. It's kind of interesting to not be able to see folks through here. Um, but um, if you can look at these names here, these 9 different names, and are there any that are like unfamiliar to you without ever hearing about Korean natural farming before? And so these 9 solutions. So I often ask people, okay, so I just gave you an example of a plant that was sick, that had problems with it. And I said put protectors on it. So the protector is going to go on there, protect the leaves. The food is going to give it a little bit of the nutrition it needs. The cleanser is going to help clean off any bacteria and fungus that was kind of on the leaf structure, kind of just aid that cleansing. Also help flip the pH of the leaves and different, where to aid in getting rid of this fungus. The herbs, those are tend to be antibiotic uh, in this case, and the structure, like I said, the leaves were kind of crinkling. It's going to give those leaves that structure. So with you can go into it and you can define these solutions in a lot of different ways. When we got them originally, these were like acronyms, and there's a whole library of acronyms and understanding. But what I found is with the acronyms is it made it very hard to diagnose what's wrong with your plant and when to use what and how to use anything. And I would notice a lot of people would make natural farming solutions, and then their solutions would sit there and they didn't know how to use certain solutions. So what I'm my contribution is by naming the natural farming solutions this way. Is there anything on this list? Like, I guess I can see the chat. Just drop it in there if you're unfamiliar with something that is one of these that you wouldn't know how to use with your plants. For instance, you got like black sooty mold on your tangerines. What are you going to use? And if you have bunchy top, a bunchy top is another thing. Well, you can spray the protectors into the top of where the crown of the banana plant. Get those protectors in there, and they will eat out the nasty stink smell, and the banana will grow through it. It doesn't solve the fact that it still has bunchy top. It still has the virus, but it can grow through the bunchy top and push through that and push leaves out. So by putting protectors into the canopy, you can actually, what do you call them? Have asymptomatic bunchy top. So so when I'm explaining Korean natural farming, I try to break it down this way and be like, okay, we're trying to go about growing a great garden with balance. We got to start with the soil. So we can start with the microorganisms, the protectors. Then we have to feed our soils, feed our plants, and all these solutions come into play. So what we do is these 9 solutions are then typically kind of broken down into different formulations of when you'd spray certain things for different reasons. And if you look at this real fine tooth comb and you just go, okay, well, I'm not going to listen. I'm just going to spray whatever, whenever, because if you look, there's very subtle differentiations of when I'm changing, um, taking the 9 solutions that I previewed before. Those are on this upper column. There's actually 8 of them here, and then these new 7 um, rows coming down are the different solutions. So saying like if I want leaf formula, I'd add food, cleanser, medicine, structure, fuel, and protectors. So this is like a formulation basically. So, but if you look at this very carefully, you'll see why certain growth stages want certain parts of the solutions, but also knowing the solutions in their totality, knowing that structure helps my plant with structure. So if you're getting a bunch of wind and a bunch of things are bending over, and you go out and you make a mixture with structure, diluted 1 to 1,000, probably also some food, probably also cleanser because it actually helps with flexibility of plants, believe it or not. Um, and you could make, for instance, a leaf solution like this and spray it, and then your plant would be more resilient to that because it has the nutrition it needs to repair the damage that came from the wind damage, and then it can rebuild itself, and it has the nutrition for a plant to deal with those types of situations. So, um, so how one if if you have a sick plant and you make a ferment, which I usually when I teach in person, the first recipe I teach people is the food here. And if you were to try one at home, one recipe I would recommend to try is the food because basically everything starts with food. I don't know if everything starts with water, probably is more accurate, um but if you have if you're trying to solve a problem and you're hungry, or you're trying to get better and you're malnourished, the odds of you healing or getting better or trying to be a better person are pretty low. But if you're getting a lot of good nourishment, you're given the right foods, um, you know, right food in, your odds of healing and being a nice person and when you have all the nutrition you have is much better. It's just kind of intuitive, right? If you think about yourself, like were your best days when you were like really hungry, or were your best days when you're like well fed, right? So I always recommend starting with food as the first thing to do. There's a lot of things in natural farming that you could be like, okay, I want bigger fruits, I want this, I want that. The biggest thing I think you can do is to take a plant, ferment it, and then spray it back on another plant because that gives the plant the food it needs in the form it needs. It's in the plant. You're fermenting it out by osmotic extraction, and then you're taking it and you're spraying it back into the plant. So, for instance, like my mom, she's actually here on the call. She's growing strawberries, and she has a whole bunch of runners coming off of her strawberries. What's she going to do with all that? She's going to trim it off so that she can grow better strawberries. But if she trims those runners off, they're full of growth hormones and enzymes that she could go through and compost those. But instead, she uses this recipe here. It's called fermented plant juice or food, which I call food because if you call it fermented plant juice, you're like, when do I use that? But it's food. When do you use it? Kind of all the time, or when your plant's hungry, right? And feeding your plant. So for her, she can take these runners of the strawberry, ferment that using this recipe, and then spray this back on those strawberries. And those strawberries now have all these growth hormones and enzymes from these runners. And it's going to be this synergistic energy feedback. And the only thing she had to add to the um, thing here was, some organic sugar. And now she's multiplied her crop waste into an amazing food. And once there's food, then the plant can go and, if it can put out better roots, it can grow better flowers, it can grow better leaves and all these things. I think, correcting nutritional deficiency after correcting like malnutrition deficiency, right? And so making a food, this recipe here, as one of the things. And I always recommend this is like, where do you start? Like, this is like, what construction tool do you start with? Probably a hammer, right? I don't know. Anyone start with a square first? I think everyone start like as a kid, you start with a hammer. You just started beating stuff, right? The hammer. So I would say like the KNF food, this recipe right here, this food is the hammer of KNF. It's the easiest one to start with. You can basically just hit it. It's hard to break. You can't break things with it, obviously. But if you dilute it properly in the dilutions that I mentioned up above, and it's about 1 to 500, you can't really overdose any plant, and you can immediately fill a malnutritional like balance in there. You can make food from weeds, from overgrowth, from plants, from fruits that are nearby, from all kinds of things. And this will give you one tool that then once you've mastered this and you've started to make like two or three of these, you start to use them, you will see your plants start to be strengthened. And I guess, yeah, if you have CRB and stuff, then you could, instead of putting more material into the compost, you're actually fermenting this stuff and really getting the life force out and using it that way. So, so I know I got a few more minutes here, right? I really what I wanted to kind of do is to give you an overview, a basic overview of, what is Korean natural farming. And essentially it's a lineage of folks that have kind of brought a bunch of recipes together. From those recipes, um, there's, I've kind of simplified it down to just 9. There are more, but these 9 are like the essentials. And if you start to learn and master these 9, you get it. Um, and by taking these 9 recipes and including them in different formulas, you can then affect how it's not like you're trying to affect the plant by saying, "Oh, I'm going to put this, I want the plant to do more of this." It's like a plant is going to go into a cycle, and if you give it the food it needs before it enters that cycle, it's going to grow even better. So by giving it the herbs, by keeping its immune system up, by keeping it having the right amount of calciums, the right amount of um, fish amino acids, the right amount of minerals, everything in the plant before it needs it. That's what you're trying to do. So the basic idea is to make a solution. And like I said, the reason I would also start with food is because food is in every single recipe here. Every single growth stage, they need food. There's different types. There's so many nuances when you get into like how and what and why. Could easily do a whole presentation just on food, just to let you know. But as a brief overview to let you know, like here this is, and then I encourage you to take this recipe, the food recipe. So essentially, what you do is, um, in the morning you gather um, a decent amount of food. I just made it the other day, and I did it with a 5-gallon bucket of lemons. So this was easy. I didn't have to do this in the morning. Took the lemons, cut them in eighths, and I mixed for that 5-gallon bucket. I probably mixed 7 pounds of brown sugar into it, and I cut those lemons and I just tossed them like a cement mixer. I wasn't trying to smash them and smash the juice out. I was just trying to get the sugar on there, have the sugar mix around, and then I let it ferment for about 5 days, and I poured off about 1.5 gallons of usable um, citrus pure fertilizer. So from, what is that, 4 gallons, 4 to 5 gallons of lemons cut, put with sugar. It filled up to about 3 gallons of the 3-gallon line. I got 1.5 gallons of usable fertilizer. Um, and I think a gallon will do something like 200 acres, something like that. So I could do 300 acres with just a 5-gallon bucket of lemons to make my food. I think I'm doing the math right. I'm pretty sure that's the right scale. Yeah. So it's powerful stuff. I would recommend getting into the food, doing one recipe, and then just, if you're in Hilo, we have a Korean natural farming meeting every second Tuesday. And I think, Miley, you shared that, right? I think I'm back on the Instagram, so I think we've been sharing stuff around. And then I also, through my foundation, I do in office hours. So every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m., I do a Korean natural farming support on YouTube. And you can find that at pureknffoundation.org. And then I'll also be teaching a class at the end of January, this upcoming January into February, here at the farm. So I think those are all the things going on, and more resources. We like I I try to help people out as best as I can to get these regenerative methods going. And I know sometimes it can be kind of esoteric because it comes from like Eastern to Western and being translated in different words and different things. But I think having a really solid understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, which to me is regenerating the earth, right? And growing great food as a result of that and making a good living. So I think Korean natural farming is a great fit. And if you know, if you've had experience, share it with other people, and it's a good thing. So yeah. Any questions, or are we there yet, or should I keep?
You still have, if you want, I would say like 8 more minutes if you want, but we can jump into questions too if you want to start jumping into those because we do have a couple.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, I'd some questions to kind of guide through. I mean, I'm kind of giving an overview of this. How are you feeling on overview?
So good.
Smiles or
You
smiles or question marks?
you explain so well. I like how simple you make it. There's a lot of questions about just this resource in general. If you have it in a hard copy, if there's a discount you provide for it, if you sell it, where we can get people can get this book. There's lots of questions about that.
I can work I can work with you to put a discount code for folks that check this out. It's an ebook. Um, and
Awesome.
it is right now, if you go to I, I think it's naturalfarminghawaii.net. Sorry to kind of, but it also shouldn't, yeah. Anyway, it's at a couple different, because the foundation runs a few things. It's also KNF support. But I can send you a link with a discount code for everyone that's watching here, because you have everyone's email to kind of follow up.
Yeah, that'd be great. That answers like six of your guys' questions. And I think Anne Van had put a link in here too to naturalfarminghawaii.net where you folks can go if you want to get the book tonight. And then there's a couple questions about, you did go into it quite a bit, but if you want to talk a little bit more about bunchy top bananas or CRB, or do you feel like you covered both of those pretty good?
Well, let me just, Bunchy Top is an interesting thing, because it's going to be viral, and kind of the standard protocol would be to like cut it down and poison it and kind of eliminate it, right? Um, but my approach, because I've had Bunchy Top here for a while, and if the canopy is sprayed and the bananas are sprayed directly into the top with the lactobacillus, if it's too late already and the entire trunk has been eaten through with bunchy top, you're too late. But if you catch it kind of in the early stage, like a month in, 2 months into it, um, you the lactobacillus actually kind of eat away that kind of, if you ever cut down a bunchy top banana, it just smells like horse's butt. It's just, oh, it's so rancid, and it's so gross, and just that it's that rot that really is killing the tree. And that rot can the lactobacillus get in there, and as they leak down into that canopy, they eat out that infection. It's kind of like, you can think of it like maggots eating out gangrene kind of thing. It's a little bit brutal in terms of its like thinking about it, but it eats out that rot, and once you eat out the rot, then the plant can then throw out new unbunched leaves again. Um, so the challenge with it is it's very labor intensive, right? How am I going to get like if I'm, if I have a lot of if I only have a few bananas, it's easy, right? Just take a squirt bottle and squirt the lactobacillus into the canopy, and probably once a week you're fine. Um, but if you have a whole, thing of bananas everywhere and you're trying to shoot every crown, right? Because you got all these small ones, big ones, all these different sizes, you're cleaning them out, and are you trying to do it on a tractor to spray them? Are you going to do it on foot? Are you going to drag a hose around? Are you going to wear like it becomes then a labor issue of like, yeah, sure, we got the solution. You just get lactobacillus in the crown, no problem. But it has to be done pretty much if it's infected on a weekly basis for about a month. And then it starts to clear because that rot goes away, right? The banana grows through that rot. In about a month, it's able to push new leaves through and they're no longer rotten in there. But you need that. You can't just like do it once and be like, oh, it's done. It needs to be done as that, you need to get rid of that rot out of there. So the issue becomes for me even here on this farm, it's like, oh, I have bananas. Why don't I take care of them all? It's a labor issue of like going to spray everything, do it on a tractor. I'm a big fan of uh, aerial drone applications. And if you were at the HFU convention, you may have come by the hive that we were hosting and seen the drone that we have. And that's been extraordinarily effective at getting the frequency of application out there to deal with problems like bunchy top or to deal with strengthening up the plants so that CRB is not as much of an issue. I'm not saying that like I can go out and kill some sort of beetle or kill some, virus type of thing. What Korean natural farming really does is strengthens your plants, raises their immune system. It gives them just a fighting chance to be like, Jason from Mahina Mele was talking about Korean natural farming, and I don't think he has any um the berry borer CBB. So that's a beetle, right? The CRB is another beetle. Beetles are the gnarliest creatures on Earth. They're hardened like battle bot, like things like so. But by strengthening your plant and giving your plant the things it needs, it's no longer easy for it to bore in and to just enjoy this soft, his berries at least. So I don't know if that's like it's a far stretch, but his berry borer for his coffee is no longer from just some natural farming sprays that he's doing.
Somebody
And
else
then that,
asked,
oh, go ahead.
does it do any harm just to spray the protector on the banana trees anyway, regardless of bunchy top knowledge?
No, it is beneficial in so many ways. The protectors. I'm still sharing my screen. That's so lame.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys switch it off. I'm gonna go down to the protectors down here, the page for them. Um, I think maybe never demonstrated anything. Um, am I? No, maybe I'm not. Anyway, okay. Let me just stop sharing this. Okay. So what was the question?
I think you answered it. It's kind of just more like you said that it'll definitely help regardless of if they put the protector on, if they don't know about bunchy top, regardless.
I've never heard of someone damaging their plants from using natural farming solutions prepared by someone who knew what they were doing. Some people have prepared them incorrectly and caused contamination issues. But somebody that has knows I've never heard of someone like overdosing or having harmful results. It, yeah,
Does the protector really need to be refrigerated?
it is helpful because it is so active. But no, on a farm situation, what's best is to have uh, an area where you have a cooler, not that it has to be cold, but a cooler that you can put your solutions in and close so that temperature doesn't go up and down during the day. Because as it goes up and down, it makes it harder for them to be the preserved as well. So just by making the air temperature static, like by closing the cooler, it's not gonna then the temperature is not gonna go as cold at night and as warm during the day. So storage, yeah, it's helpful.
Um, can you share more about the benefits of using seawater?
See, seawater is amazing. It has every single element in it. It has gold. It has, so if you have any trace deficiency in your plant, which can cause a lot of problems by one thing not being there, it can cause a lot of cascading problems. The ocean has every single one, and by diluting it 1 to 30, you're making it so the salt is not um is not going to cause a problem. Like by the time you dilute it 1 to 30, you taste it. It's not even salty anymore, but the minerals are still available, and they're ionic, and they're ready to be bound back in and go into the plants and go into the microbes that need them. And so um, grabbing seawaters in Hawaii is so easy. Go down to the beach and or a boat ramp or the cleanest place you can go. And if you gather the top inch of seawater, you'll of the ocean, you'll also get a set of microbes that are very beneficial.
Wow.
So in addition to the minerals that are below and the minerals that are in the ocean, there's also a very specific set of microbes that are on the top inch of water that you can then, when you bring it back up onto the land, it's the best for rejuvenating old, worn out seawater, is those sea microbes plus this mineral bath that you get from the ocean by diluting it 1 to 30.
Wow. Okay, Michael has a question. One of the common questions of KNF is it better to make your own inputs or buy them? Most farmers would like to purchase but do not know from where or from whom. So I'll add to him. If you don't have the time, do you sell the fertilizers or do you know people that sell the fertilizers or island wide where people can buy it if they don't have the time? And what do you think? Is it better to make your own or to buy them?
Uh, well, two parts. One, I mean, one, it's better to make your own just because it's like what's in it and it's
Yeah.
like you can really customize it. But two, for economy and just specialization and having task switching, like having somebody make quality solutions you can get is good. In Hilo at the natural farming meeting that we have every second Tuesday, that's a great exchange to have
Awesome.
to for people to bring solutions. And we have a guy making some solutions here and he has those for sale, as well as when we make solutions together at these meetings, then we can also exchange with each other because um to to do like my it doesn't take very much of these solutions. It's like a 5 gallon bucket's like a year's supply worth of spraying, it- it's not very much. So making a little bit of your own is you'll find it to be quite easy and you'll learn a whole lot. But yeah.
How long can you keep that bucket? Does it never expire?
Well, I use the solutions.
Right. Is there an
Yeah.
expiration date on the bucket if people were to keep it for too long?
Yeah, with proper preservation on most of these things in good storage, they'll last at least a year.
Okay, that was a question. And then Holly asked, could you use molasses? And then there was another question that was there any alternatives to brown sugar?
Yeah, no. The answer is no, and then the reason why is extraordinarily scientific. It has to do with the moisture content of the molasses and the dryness of sugar. Sugar is extraordinarily dry and has osmotic pulling pressure. If I use molasses, it won't pull the juices out of the plant. There are cases to use molasses, but you have to be very careful just thinking it's a one-to-one substitution in natural farming. You can think of natural farming like cooking. Like, if you had a recipe with cake, with wheat flour, and all of a sudden you substitute in coconut flour for it, you're gonna have to change a few things, not just like one for one, just like substitute it across. And some things may or may not work as well, right? Just like cooking or baking. And so the same thing of no, you can't just swap it across. And what is alternatives to brown sugar is uh, making brown sugar. also you can use, I mean, you can use white sugar, um, that um, and then there's also crude ways to do this. So like the way I showed you tonight was a very edible way to make food for human consumption. And if you're worried about like sugar, then there's ways to make it where it's like low grade, like plant quality, like plant and soil quality, not human quality. So there's a lot of affordability layers that I also typically cover when we talk about these things.
Great. Okay, Liz asked, how long do you need to use KNF before it really makes a difference on the plant? I assume she's asking.
So the same guy that I brought the solution over for his plant that I was talking about that was kind of has this fungus eating it type of thing. I had him try some and sip some, and he was like he felt it immediately hit his his guts, and he was like, "Oh man, I feel good."
Awesome.
Um,
Immediately.
so he was drinking it concentrated right away. And it's just if you use these solutions on things, um, it's I've heard, you know, in minutes to hours to days to, you know, they it depends how healthy they are already. But, you know, once you start restoring things to health, I mean, you know, if it's really damaged, it's going to be a long recovery, you know, recovery process, but it's an immediate, like you're back to regenerating. You're no longer going down like the degenerative path. So do you see results right away? Well, if you immediately start regenerating, then, I mean, yeah, like immediately.
Awesome. Somebody asked if the protector helps ohia from fungus. You've seen anything there?
Definitely. So it is you can think of the protectors as kind of like security guards in terms of the ultimate microbes we want to have active, especially on natives like Ohia, are the indigenous microorganisms, the IMOs. But the indigenous microorganisms sometimes have trouble when there's changing environment or invaders or things shifting, and the protectors act as like these security guards that you can drop in, and you know, like rapid ohia death as a fungus attacking it, they act as like the security guards to make sure and keep the peace and keep and kind of like you know, like the Red Cross handing out food and stuff to the different indigenous microbes, that then ultimately you want your indigenous microbes to be as strong as possible. And that's going to lead to the most resilience. And the protectors are just kind of like this, like backup force that you can put in there to like, you know, lend hands and really help situations out.
Jennifer asked if using KNF, but also buying and using organic fertilizer, does that cancel out the IMO?
No, I mean, this is one of the things that I would really encourage everyone that's in this program to do is to start dabbling with a little bit of Korean natural farming, the food. Just make that, try that, and keep all your other practices going because the thing that you'll find is that KNF is extraordinarily effective, especially at recycling your old crop waste, things that you didn't know what you were going to do with them. Ferment them, turn them into these foods, start to put it around and kind of gradually and slowly go through this transition. You know, if you're transitioning to organic, then go organic. And then as you're doing these things, the regenerative processes, the Korean natural farming, like fit one or two things in as you can and see the results. Um, I think just, you know, slow transition. Just pick the food, go with the food, try it. You'll see. If you don't like it, then, you know, I guess I can give you your money back. I don't know. Can I? Can
I
we?
have another specific ocean water question from Smita Paul. Going back to the ocean water, once you cut it by 30 times, do you spray on leaves or do we put near the roots? I'm thinking about mango trees mostly. We also collect driftwood, thinking that it might slightly leach minerals into the soil. Thoughts?
Yes, driftwood's going to be good. It's going to break down, and then the diluted 1 to 30 into the soil. You can drench 100 gallons per acre, or onto your trees, it's 25 gallons per acre foliar spray. But both are going to be effective, and they're even more effective if you combine them with KNF reproduction, which is a calcium. It's another recipe in here.
Perfect. Freddie asks if it rains, how much of a detriment is it to collect the plant material in the morning, especially coming into winter?
Um, the best time, I mean, so my assumption is most of us are in Hawaii, but if you're going into winter, so the best time to gather stuff is in spring, always spring. Um, but yeah, I mean I gather year round here.
Perfect. Liz asks, can you use rotting fruits in your fermented food for trees?
Uh, You can. It's kind of like garbage in, garbage out. If it's super rotten, like for instance, the lemon ferment that we just did, we picked the lemons off the ground. They weren't like tree picked. They were there. They weren't the ones that were like gross that you could stick your thumb in that were like, gross lemon. Like they all had their skin intact. But when I opened them up, if you get really nasty stuff, you can use more crude ferments. But when you're taking the sugar and mixing it, you want to use quality stuff. The sugar is not free, and you're going to get just such a high quality, really potent output that you don't want to be using rotten trash to go in. You want to use your best stuff. And the trash stuff you can use other recipes for, but not this one.
Perfect. Our last questions are basically all centered around how they can get more information from you. So just one more time, where is the meeting on Tuesday in Hilo? That's the first one.
It's 875 Komohana Street. And if you go to pure KNF, pureknf.org, um, it's linked there. That's our foundation's website.
Perfect. Is your YouTube and IG available on there as well? Somebody asked you to repeat those one more time as well.
The YouTube is, my Instagram, I don't know. It's you got a friend, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, go to the main website.
Friend Ashley, and then she'll friend you to
I don't
me.
know. I think your website's so great, and this book is so great. So I'm glad to hear that it is on your website, so folks can buy it now. But we'll send out a discount code. And then there was one more question about. I think you mentioned a YouTube live. Did you mention a YouTube live and when that's happening?
Yeah, so I do it every Sunday
Okay,
at 9 a.m.
perfect. And then the last, Diane had asked, this sounds very promising. Can you refer me to science-based research that supports the practices, which I assume is just going to be more through your website. But where's your best bet for there?
Yeah, at pureknf.org, there is a research tab, and there is University of Hawaii-based research, as well as Konkuk University, which is a top-tier university in Korea that we've worked with to do peer-reviewed scientific paper type stuff. So knf.org/research.
Awesome, Drake. You did such a great job tonight. I learned so much. You made it seem so much easier than I thought it was. It seemed so much technical and get a bucket and what you have outside and make it happen. I love it. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add before we end your part of the presentation?
Well, if anyone out there is not a member of the Farmers Union, I would
Mm.
really encourage you to join Farmers Union. I think I met, every year I go to the convention and I meet so many good people, and it's such a regenerative agricultural festival. And being part of Farmers Union to support programs like this and regenerative agriculture, um, I just, it's kind of funny. I'll come to these farmers union events and I expect everyone to be a member, and I'm like, what? Some of you aren't? And I'm like, you should do it. You should really should. It's great to see the union grow, even if you're not in Hawaii, and have more support and all that. And I really appreciate what Ashley's doing here, what Miley's doing here. It's just it's so thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Thank you.
Absolutely. I got involved in the Farmers Union too with education. So if anybody out there is wanting to join, it's as easy as going to our website, hfuu.org. Our individual membership is $50 a year, or you can join with an ohana of four for $100 a year. And if you want to enter the giveaway, just if you are a member, again, email us tonight at hfuu@hfuu.org, and you'll be entered into this vintage giveaway pack. I'll pick somebody tomorrow. And if you want to join tonight, you can join and enter as well. So, Miley, I'll turn it over to you to let people know final notes about how they can join this awesome program.
All right. Thank you so much, Drake. It's been a pleasure to have you tonight. I had very similar takeaways like Ashley. You definitely demystified it. I feel like anyone could implement these practices and they really are beneficial for everybody. So thank you for that. And Ashley, thank you so much for facilitating tonight's presentation and to all of you for participating. It's a pleasure to have you all. And happy holidays to all of you. And we'll definitely be sending out and distributing and sharing additional information from Drake and the presentation tonight. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, everybody. Good to see you all. Happy holidays.